Good morning. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. I'm Pastor Mark Baze. We got a few different things to talk about. We're going to talk about, I think for the first time ever, Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. We're also going to be talking about an interesting trend that some people are noting, or at least believe is occurring, with family dynamics concerning children and their parents. And as the children have children of their own, and how things are changing between a grandparent's role, sort of, in modern times. And then we're also going to finish up with, sadly, the Conservatives did not win in Canada and what potential ramifications that's going to be. So we're going to be covering a little bit of everything. I'll remind you, in case you're maybe catching this today and you didn't get to watch yesterday's show, we have a couple new studies done for you that we are doing, engaging, carrying out right now. And so if you would like to go over to let's just do this. Obviously you can find it on the YouTube channel, but what I want you to do is go to the new website, markbazeministries.org, leave out all the extra stuff. And markbazeministries.org, here you go. You're going to see, if you click on all videos, look, we've got the last days. And when you click on that, look, Babylon is Fallen, session number 34, and you can go there and look. Really neat. You have this. You'll have the whole lesson being done there. But then look underneath. We have an entire transcript of the entire session. So you'll be able to walk through. Now, these are not my notes, and eventually I'm going to work on getting to where you can just have like a PDF file of my notes. But look here, key points. Everything broken down in kind of a short format, easy for you to follow and comprehend. If you want to go back, and let's say that maybe you want to look at our morning sermons, you'll be able to see our most recent sermon, The Difference Church Makes. And once again, look at that. There it is. There's the major points, the outlines for you that you can watch. And obviously the whole sermon is there, uploaded there for you to watch. And then as well as our new study, Studying Abraham, Finding the Biblical Truth, Session 1, God's Commands. And here it is, once again, more information broken down for you there. And we're going to be doing a new session on Abraham Wednesday night and tomorrow night. So hopefully you can join us for that. Your support has made it possible. These kind of websites that house videos, and we have AI built in to give transcripts. These are not cheap things, okay, by any means at all. And so you have made it possible, you supporting our ministry. So I'd really encourage you, start making markbazeministries.org kind of your home base. Obviously, we don't have it to where you can comment on that yet. If you would like to engage in a website other than the YouTube, because YouTube isn't a big fan of us. As always, you can always go over to worshipify.com and you can watch our live streams there. So all you do is you just go to Worshipify and then look right here, Shields and Arrows, and then you click on that and look, here we are. And then there's an entire chat box that you can click on, and you could comment there if you wanted to. Most people seem to follow on YouTube, but sometimes we have people like Dr. White pop in. So with that being said, there's all the things that we have going on right now, all made possible by your support. So I really do appreciate it. It is being, hopefully put to work in good use. All right. So Ken asks, do we need to talk about Billy Boy? Yes, we do. So I guess I'll use the Daily Wire, because the Daily Wire will probably have a decent article on the whole matter. And let me see, I may have to go back a little ways to find it. Bill Belichick. So Bill Belichick is the former head coach for the Patriots. I mean, record-setting coach, winning Super Bowls. Famously, he was the NFL coach of Tom Brady. And Bill Belichick is 73 years old. And he's recently been in the news lately because he has a new girlfriend, and his girlfriend's, let's just say, younger than him. It really is quite a disturbing story, but I guess I'll try to figure out how I want to do this, because truth be told, like, the picture's almost not even like what I would want to show you on the show. I'll do it like this. Okay, there you go. I'll leave a little bit of the picture out because she's not dressed very ladylike. But this is Bill Belichick, and not his daughter or granddaughter. That is his. Sorry, you're probably hearing something on the PC in the background. What you're looking at here is Bill Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend. Yeah. That is just a little bit disturbing. So hopefully you can hear me now. I've got it all fixed. So now that we have all that taken care of, yeah. Bill Belichick has a 24-year-old girlfriend, and obviously this has caused him to be quite popular in different circles, discussing all of these different matters in magazines and ESPN and all sorts of, things that really are not important. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about the world's perspective on things for a moment, and then let's look at the reality. You see, the idea of being an NFL coach and winning the Super Bowl, even one time, right? Credible accomplishment. I'm pretty sure Bill Belichick, he has won 6 Super Bowls, and he's a multi-millionaire. All right, so very famous, won Super Bowls, millions and millions of dollars, and on top of that, right, there is this more carnal desire, right? Everybody's like, hey, I would love to trade in my, old vehicle for a newer model, right? You get what I'm saying here? So the idea of, hey, being an older man, but hey, having all the money so you can afford to, have a young, good-looking girlfriend, right? Isn't that the dream? Like, that's what society would say. Isn't that like the pinnacle of everything? Make a ton of money, be famous, and date the young model, right? However, what we have seen is this is it's actually quite a sad thing. So Bill Belichick is actually not what you would consider to be living the dream. Despite all the world standards, despite what people may say, people may think, I think this is living proof that there is a significantly more to life than having millions of dollars and dating a 24-year-old model when you're 73 years old. So first of all, he recently did an interview, I think with CBS. And apparently Bill Belichick is completely and totally, I don't know how to put it other than whipped. I mean, first of all, this is how the man is dressed. He's 73 years old, and he is wearing this old, ripped up, ridiculous-looking sweatshirt. What? Now, if he was maybe mowing his yard, weed eating, maybe we would give him a pass. Gardening, because that's, when you're in your 70s, like that seems to be a hobby you would take, and he probably should be gardening. I would give him a pass for wearing this old, silly, tattered sweatshirt. The man is doing an interview on CBS, and he's wearing this ridiculous thing. How humiliating, embarrassing is that? Now, that's not all. In the course of this interview, okay, his girlfriend is off to the side, and she is the one she's the one calling the shots, okay? So I'm gonna play this video for you so you can hear the course of this interview and how embarrassing and truly pathetic Bill Belichick actually is. In the course of this interview, okay, But first, I'm going to fix that background noise playing. That's the mistake I made by opening up all the extra videos of me streaming. So I'm going to close those out to where we don't have any more interruptions there. Okay, so here we go. Get ready. Bill Belichick, he's while he thinks he's on top of the world, he's about to show himself to be really a loser.
The ones that I experienced directly. He's not even in the acknowledgement section. Correct. Do you feel like you were treated with dignity and respect when you were let go by Robert Kraft? Yeah, well, it was a mutual decision for us to part ways. He said fired. It was a mutual decision.
The other change for Belichick is 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, his creative muse, as he writes in his book.
Make sure that that's good.
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that? Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right. How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one.
So, if you just caught that, the interviewer asks Bill Belichick, here, the multi-time Super Bowl champion, multi-millionaire, famous NFL coach, asks him how he meets his girlfriend, and like a complete and total loser, his girlfriend interrupts, sitting to the side of the interview, and says, "We're not talking about this." Folks, society will tell us, and unfortunately so many boys have been convinced of this, even young men have been convinced of this, that the peak of all life is to be famous, make a bunch of money, and date the hot young model. And this is what he's turned into. Everything, right? Like, I mean, the 74-year-old or 73-year-old dating the 24-year-old. He looks absolutely pathetic. It's sad. It is sad. This is a man that has no dignity. He has no dignity. He has no self-respect. What it is, I mean, most likely, is this girl is just getting his money. That's all it is. He's being a complete sucker. And how sad it is. All the money in the world, all the fame in the world. And what has he turned into? He's this pitiful-looking man wearing a ripped-up sweater, looking like a joke. And then he's being disrespected by his girlfriend, and he's not man enough to conduct his own interview. She's got to be right there to interrupt him. How pathetic. There was a time when a lot of people, when it first came out, they were like, "Wow, hey, isn't Bill something else? Don't hate the player, hate the game," like silly things like that. And yet, now the facade, the curtain's been opened, and the truth is, he's just a pitiful man, sad man, who is being completely taken advantage of. He has no self-respect. He has no dignity. He has no honor. This is where it gets you. This is the logical conclusion of if it feels good, do it, right? If it feels good, do it. Just follow the whims of your desires. Do not live with a purpose, with a sense of self-dignity. Make the millions, get the fame, date the model, become a pitiful, sad excuse for a man. Ken smacks him one more time and says, "I hate to say it, but he's never been a snappy dresser." Yeah. All the more so. So, yeah, that's how society is going so far. Bill looks like he's really happy. Looks like he's so happy. He looks so much happier, right? The 73-year-old man who's being bossed around by his 24-year-old girlfriend, looks so much happier, looks so much manlier, and so much more respect than the 73-year-old man who's been married for 55 years, or however that math works. 55 years, has 4 kids, and 20 grandchildren. Yeah, Bill Belichick is really the man. So much respect, so much authority. Wow, he's really living the life as he goes to his mansion where this young girl is taking advantage of him, making him look like a joke on national television. Meanwhile, the 73-year-old is fishing with his grandsons. Yeah, who's the real loser? Our society is so completely and totally, turned upside down. And so hey, here's the thing, all of you 50-year-olds still looking for somebody, hold on, maybe she's not born yet. What a ridiculous society all this is. What a joke. Yeah, Robert says, there's still hope for me. All I have to do is win the lottery and become desirable. Yes, it's amazing, right? It's not, there's the saying, you're not ugly, you're just poor. You're not ugly, you're just poor. Oh, goodness. Or maybe for some people, looks really don't matter as long as you have enough wealth. So that's the sad state of Bill Belichick. Now, let's talk about this article on Newsbreak. I don't do a lot of reading on Newsbreak, but it is an interesting article to me. And this is not the only one I've seen. I've actually seen several articles kind of like this. So here is the article right here. Boomers are saying no to babysitting grandkids. Here's why they are setting boundaries. So I've been seeing this some. The baby boomer generation and maybe a little bit of the Gen X, the older Gen Xers, are not doing all day, weekday babysitting of grandkids. Now, let's just talk about society for a moment, and then we're going to get into some of the reasons, okay? So, once upon a time, our society was such that the mother was able to raise the children up, at the very least, until grade school age, right? So the children would be born, mother would raise the children till grade school age, and then when the children were all in grade school, then the mother may take on a job, right? And there was not necessarily the need for grandparents to have to do that, okay? To have to be involved in it. And plus, maybe due to retirement not quite being what it is now today, I mean, grandparents may have still had, obligations, things they were doing. But then, here's what happened. Mothers were encouraged, and to a degree, society, the economy, and whatnot kind of made it where mothers felt pressured to work, right? So typically, the person who raises the kids on a day-by-day basis, we're actually telling them, don't raise the kids, go work so you can make money, right? Well, the silent generation, and to a degree, the greatest generation, you go further back, typically the practice was, all right, we've said mother has to go work, we'll take care of the kids. You got to go make money. We're already retired. We're drawing Social Security, what have you. Mom goes to work. Mom drops the kids off. And the kids, until the kids are old enough to go to school, they are watched by the grandparents. And then in the summertime, they're watched by the grandparents because mom and dad are working or whatever. However, we're not seeing this now. There are a number of people who have talked about this, but this article specifically, so baby boomers are saying no to that idea. That we're not going to watch the grandkids. Now, you may say, okay, well, perhaps they changed their position on mothers having to go work. So they raised their daughters up and said, listen, honey, if you want to get your education, you absolutely go ahead and do it, and get yourself in position to where when the children are born, you can be home and take care of them until they're in school, and then you can go back to work, right? But that's not what they're doing. They're telling their daughters, you've got to go work. You have to go make money, and oftentimes it requires going in massive amounts of debt in order to make that money. So they're not giving their daughters really the options or the know-how, the insight in how to manage raising the children at home. And then when the time comes, if you want to send them to public school or what have you, and then you start back your career, you can do that. No, they're saying you got to go to work. Well, then the kids are thinking, okay, that's what mom and dad did with, okay, mom and dad went to work and we were sent to grandma and grandpa. Okay, mom, dad, here's my kids. You told me to go to work. Here's the kids. But here's what's happening, at least in some cases. They're saying, oh, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing what our parents did. We're not doing what our mom and dad did. You have got to figure this out. You've got to get extra care. You've got to get extra help. So with that, here is the article here. It says, the idea that grandparents should automatically step into the role of babysitters is being challenged by many baby boomers today. While previous generations may have embraced this responsibility without hesitation, more boomers are saying no to full-time grandparenting. They are setting firm boundaries, prioritizing their own well-being, and redefining what it means to be a grandparent. This shift is sparking conversations and even controversy within families. But what's really behind this decision? So the article goes on and gives a list of reasons. Now, the article could be right, the article could be wrong on all this. I mean, some of this is honestly just their opinions and speculation. But here's number one. Number one, they've already raised their kids. So boomers spent decades raising their children, often juggling work, finances, and personal sacrifices to provide the best life possible. Now many feel it's their time to focus on themselves. They love their grandkids, but don't want to relive the sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, and daily exhaustion. So that is interesting. First of all, why would they be having sleepless nights? I mean, you're not with them all night long, right? Retirement for many is about freedom, not another round of full-time parenting. So this is an interesting thing. We've talked about some of this before. The idea of when you retire, it's all about just having fun all the time. Just having fun for fun's sake will eventually lead you to misery. Think about all the people who are extremely wealthy and can do whatever they want, like Bill Belichick, right? Just having fun all the time. Yay, let's date the 24-year-old model. That'll be fun. And then where does it lead them? It leads them down to a road of ultimately not being satisfied, being miserable. Because the truth is, if you're only living for just your own pleasure, your own fun, your own joy, and you're not doing anything else with your life, it is an empty well. Now, maybe you can drug yourself up enough or stay intoxicated enough or what have you to convince yourself that life is all good and roses, but if you're not doing something, I mean, and this is true, and I'm not even bringing, here's where I give my speech about the prosperity gospel of good feelings and not being depressed. People turn into all sorts of things, right? So some may lean heavily into volunteer work in some aspects. Some may lean heavily into being a part of a political work or what have you, right? Sometimes it's often, older people, like they volunteer and do different things, whether it's with elections or whatnot. You have things that give you purpose, that get you going, that give you something to do. So the truth is, the reality is, they think it is going to be liberating to just seek nothing but fun all the time. And then they're going to realize, oh, I missed out on my grandchildren because I was too busy doing other things. And now they're grown and I spent no time with them. So that is one interesting thing. They've already raised their kids. They think they've done their time. But how many people do you know that have retired and then they really just stopped living? They just sat down in their chair. They didn't do anything all their life. And then what happens? They just die. They retire and they die. They don't do anything. I promise you, grandkids will give you something to do. Number two, they want to enjoy retirement after years of hard work. Boomers are looking forward to their golden years, traveling, pursuing hobbies, and enjoying time with friends. I mean, and a lot of that is good. Once again, at some point, you're going to realize, I missed out on a lot of things because I was too busy doing other things. And what's more important, right? What's your values? Point number 3, it says they have their own health concerns. Aging comes with physical limitations that can make childcare challenging, lifting toddlers, chasing after energetic kids. There's some truth to that, but I think also some of it's self-inflicted. If you treat yourself like an old person, you're going to be old. And if you treat yourself like a younger person, you're going to stay younger. It's just true. I mean, we're not talking about cheating death. Everybody's going to die at some point. But there are people that you know who they were old people, like acting like they were in their twilight years when they were 50 years old. Because they just decided they were done. They were done. They weren't going to go out and do anything. They were just going to watch their old reruns. They were no longer involving in any hobbies or activities, and they just got old. Likewise, you know people that are 75 that still do things. They still have hobbies. They garden. They go fishing. They go on trips, or they do all sorts of things, right? And so they make it to all their grandkids' ball games. How about that? There's all sorts of things that people can do to stay active and be healthy and great. And you know one way to stay active and healthy? Chasing around grandkids. Because that kind of energy is, it's endless. Now, here's an interesting one, number 4. And this is where I'm going to say, here's where some of the disconnect comes in. They believe parenting is the parent's responsibility. Okay, so here's the thing. If you have set your children up to be able to have the mother in the home, then great, because you already did the work necessary, and it is the parent's job to raise the children. But if you have just preached to your kids how, especially your daughters, that they don't need to be in the home, they need to be out working, then that's not a fair take. Plain and simple. And if you're not going to, basically, if you're going to preach to your daughters that they do need to be gone during the child's years of being little, between birth and school, and I mean, some would even say, raise them all the way through, homeschool them, right? Then you probably should be willing to take on the responsibility of being the caregiver when they're having to work, because that's what you told them to do. Number 5, they want to keep their relationship healthy. Many boomers recognize that saying yes to full-time babysitting can create resentment toward their children, their grandkids, and even their partners. I don't know. Life's tough, guys. The thing about life is it's not easy. If you're going to let that cause resentment, then it's probably a you problem. You can complain or you can just deal with it, right? Plain and simple. Number 6 is somewhat realistic. I can understand they're still working or have commitments. There is truth that grandparents may still be, depending on how old they are, and their plans for retirement, if they can retire. If both grandparents are still working full-time jobs, I mean, yeah, that's tough. So that's probably the one pass that you're able to give, because not all of them are retired. But once again, if you're doing the math, as a parent, you really should think about this. If you're doing the math and you're thinking, we're going to be working when you're having children, once again, that goes back to giving your daughters the know-how and the options, and also your sons, of saying, hey, listen, boys, you got to be able to have a job that's stable enough to where you can afford to go at least 4 years with your wife not bringing in a consistent, regular salary. You got to be able to figure it out. You got to know how to do it. So it works both ways. You got to have the talk with the daughter. You got to have the talk with the sons. Like, sons, you got to, if that's the route you're going to take, that's what you got to do. Number 7, they feel unappreciated when babysitting becomes an expectation. Many boomers are happy to babysit occasionally, but when it becomes an expectation rather than an offer, they start to feel unappreciated. I mean, the thing is are you family or are you not? And when it comes to family, is there not still a sense of duty to your family? I think the mentality of I did my time as a parent, as if that's like a negative thing, like, oh, I did my time and now I get to just ride off into the sunset and do life however I want to because I've earned this somehow. It's not a path to lasting happiness. Investing in the lives of your grandchildren, I think is a very good thing. And one reason why I say this, and I know that I'm on the other side of this thing, I'm the parent, but I have witnessed the grandparents that took care of their children or their children's children, their grandchildren, they live longer. They live longer because they have purpose. And yes, the grandkids are going to run through your house. They're going to break your things. They're going to be loud. They're going to fight. You're going to have to deal with all of it. And you know what? You're alive. And you are dealing with people. And specifically people who are your grandchildren. Is that not a great thing to still have a role to play in this life? Next point, they want to be grandparents, not co-parents. Boomers cherish the role of being grandparents, spoiling their grandkids, sharing stories, and creating special memories. But here's the thing. Whether or not the grandparents like it, you still have a role to play in raising your grandkids. It matters how you live your life. You can say, I'm going to go do what I want to do and, act the way I want to act or whatever, right? It matters. It matters if the grandparents are acknowledging of the faith, acknowledging of God. It does matter because you are going to be around them and you will have influence. The grandkids are going to notice how the grandparents act. Those things matter. It's another reason to stay married. To stay married when you're older in age. And sadly, there is a number of divorces that take place after 50. Well, what does it matter now? We've got the kids raised. Who cares? The grandkids are going to see it. They need to see grandma and grandpa continue to love each other, be faithful to one another. Your life is really not your own. I mean, I'm sorry to tell people this, and I'm learning it too. I'm having to learn it as a dad, and as what I want to do. And it's not like I think when you get to some stage in your life, you're able to flip that switch. You still have a role. I mean, once upon a time, the aged men were the leaders of society. They were the elders. They were the ones that were in charge. To a degree, if a traditional family, it's going to kind of still be that way. Yes, the father is the head of his home, but Old Testament law, which we're not under, but the principles are still, I think, very good for us. Honor thy father and mother. You don't just disregard your parents when you have a family of your own. You still have a role to play. It can't just be all fun all the time. Because once again, if you're just trying to amuse yourself, what a miserable existence to have. And so it's really created a harsh situation here. And you talk about resentment. What about the kids who did have their grandparents essentially take care of them between their birth and going to school because their mom did have to work? And now they were told they have to work too? Specifically talking to mothers here. And then they just turn around to find out, no, we're not going to help you in that way. And so now you've got to figure it out on your own. Really will create a shift in family dynamics. and I think it's going to hurt grandparents for all the gain that they may think they're finding. And obviously we're talking in generals here. This is not like a across the board. We've always said this. You can't just take, say, oh, when we talk about the boomer generation or the Gen X or Gen Z, whatever, you can't just say, here's the generation and everybody's going to behave this way. Obviously that's silly and absurd. There's outliers in every way. So there's not all baby boomers are like this. Some do help with the grandkids, and some do. There are some who have given their daughters the insight to say, hey, listen, there are career paths for you to choose that will give you the opportunity to be a mother, and then you can start your career up later, what have you. And also telling sons, you've got to be able to support your family if you want to have that kind of family lifestyle with your mother in the home. So there's not set hard and fast rules here saying that and some of it, maybe a little more vague, right? Where in one area, a particular person may do excellent in this spot, right? And then in another area, they may be lacking. But it is an important trend to consider. How the family unit may be deteriorating. And that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the one we talk about a lot is obviously marriage. We talk about the deterioration of marriage a lot. We talk about the deterioration between parents and their children a lot. But one we don't often talk about is the deterioration between grandparent and parent, and grandparent and grandchildren. I think it sounds like our I don't know. I think the whole family dynamic as a whole, in its entirety, is being affected and being shifted and being changed, and I don't think necessarily for the better. So, those are my thoughts on that. All right, one final thing. I may cut you loose early. I may try to go get something done that I need to get done probably a little bit early today. But regardless, one final thing before I let you go. The Conservatives lose in Canada. Sad to say, we were kind of following this story. I talked about it last week with a little bit of hopes that maybe the Conservative Party would be able to, win, take the Prime Minister position and Parliament. That's not what happened. Pierre Poilievre's Conservative Party got their best result in years, getting 41.4% of the vote, but the Liberals still own Canada. The Canadian Liberal Party, led by Mark Carney, who is a radical lib, they won the election. And it is kind of sad because it looked like the Conservatives were going to win because they had a 25-point lead. How much of that is Trump stirring up stuff with Canada, giving them bad feelings towards Conservatives? I don't know how much of that is. And early polling is tough. Remember when, back when we were looking at how Trump was running with Biden, he had a massive lead and then everything narrowed, greatly. And how much the polling really matters, I don't know. But here's the thing. How many more years can Canada keep doing this to itself? How many more years can they have bad policies, progressive liberal governance before they can't keep doing it any longer? How much longer until it comes back to bite them? So it's a shame. I want Canada to be conservative, especially for our Canadian friends. I want you to have good governance. So it's really a shame to hear that that's how things have played out here. All right, I'll read a few comments here, and then I'm going to let you go. Thanks to all of you who are with us today. Toby says, just look at the world now. The rapture must be near. It's possible. You know me, I'm an optimistic pessimist. It may not look like things can get any worse, but I think they can. Chuck says, if I had known what I had known today, I wouldn't have supported my wife having a career. Thought it was better 35 years ago, but it wasn't. They just miss out on so much. And I'm saying that someone whose wife is, went to medical school and is a doctor. It's just, what do you value, But the best thing we can do is take the wisdom that we have and then pass it on to the next generation. And so I think one of the things is the baby boomers, they went without, many of you. There was, all you got to do is go back a few decades and people were still quite poor compared to, today's time. And so maybe they were so driven because they were raised with very little. They wanted to have a lot. but it came at the cost of family and mothers in the home. There's no reason, and once again, we're not talking about necessarily, mothers not having any career at all. What we're talking about is, can they not get 4 years or at least 3 years with their children in the home before you pack them up and send them off somewhere? How sad is it? And I say to somebody my son, when he was 4 months old, he was in daycare. 4 months old. And he spent more time with strangers than he did his own mother. It's a sad reality. So I'm not saying I'm somebody who's figured it out. I was born into the format, the template. But you know what? When we raise our daughters and we raise our sons, we're going to give them the information they need to correct course, plain and simple. And then we're going to do the very best we can for our family in the meantime. And we have some plans, hopefully with my wife. The more that you support the ministry, the more it'll help with family. That's for sure. Luke says it is possible to have a mom in the home that went to college and got a degree. It takes some sacrifice, and the dad is going to have to pull the weight financially, but it's possible. Yeah, absolutely it is. Most are merely choosing to work outside the home. There's going to be sacrifices somewhere. Yeah, I mean, people think they have to have it all, especially young couples. Young married couples are so bad about, we got to have a bigger house, we got to own, our own house, or we've got to, go on these long vacations every summer. We've got to have the boat, we got to have the camper, we got to have. All right, I want you to look at the boat, look at the camper, or I don't know, I'm just throwing out things up. What do people buy, right? And say, which one is of more value to me? Being able to take my family on the week-long resort vacation every summer, or I get to wake up on a Monday morning and be with my child all week long. We got to decide. And it's just, we're all born into it. We didn't start the fire. It's just how things are, but it's a shame. I think we're at a shift. We're at a turning of a tide in culture. I think more families are going to operate that way. It's just, there's not a lot I could do about it now because I was born into the situation, right? And we just didn't look at things the same way. And I'm very thankful that my grandparents were there to raise me during the times when my parents were having to work, because that's just how things were at the time. So with that, great to have all of you all today. Interesting discussion in how things are right now in our society. I know my mom, she does her role. I know she's probably got screaming grandkids all around, and she wouldn't trade anything for it. She loves it. So, all right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate each and every one of you who are part of this ministry, who support this ministry. I hope that you find it of value. Maybe some of you do, because you are here listening to what we're trying to offer here, insight, theology. Tomorrow we'll be back for more, maybe some theology stuff, maybe some political stuff. Who knows where we're going to go from here. But I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Have a good rest of your Tuesday. Sorry to cut things short today, but I think I'm going to go ahead and try to get some stuff done that I really didn't